Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my October reading stats. I am a little behind again. I usually try to do these within the first week or two of the month, and of course I'm a little farther than that, but that's fine. Stats are stats. We'll get to them as we can. So what I'm going to do is just talk about how my reading went in October, and then and show you my reading journal, and we'll just go with it. So I have my trusty list of all my items, and so here we go. So question number one is always, how many books did I finish? I read 6 books in October, so I only finished 6, which is really kind of low for me. It's kind of my lower range, but I did read some pretty big books, so or at least one really big book, which is probably why. So I don't feel too bad. I mean, it still was good. How many of those books were physical? Actually, all 6 of them were physical, and the one of the ones I didn't finish was my audiobook that I still need to finish. But so all the books that I finished were physical, so that's unusual. Usually I have at least an audiobook or an ebook or something. Usually there's one or something, but no, not this month. This month was, October was a lot of physical books. How many graphic novels and manga did I read? I read 3 altogether. 2 of those were The Girl from the Other Side from that manga series, which I'm really enjoying. It's just my library can't get the next copy to me fast enough, so really enjoying that manga series by Nagabi, I think is how it is. Anyway, so of course I don't own any of those because most of my graphic novels that I'm getting are from the library. Number 3, any rereads. So I had 0 rereads, even though, as I said, the audiobook that I was listening to is technically a reread. That I didn't finish. So that's the only thing I reread during the month, so, which is kind of low for me. I usually have more than one reread, but again, I couldn't really count it as one either because I didn't finish. Anyway, so how many DNFs? So I had 2 DNFs. Considering how few books I read, that's kind of a high percentage. Anyway, how many were on my TBR for this month, and then how many did I read? So I had 5 books, or 5 things listed for my TBR, and 2 of them I read. One of them was the audiobook I did not complete, and then one of them was the other 2 were DNFs. So, yeah. I didn't do so good. Anyway, so how many were from my shelves? Of the books that I finished, 4 of them were physically on my shelf. One of them was from a friend that I borrowed that now I can give back. God, where did I put? Oh, there it is. I do still have it on the shelf. Sorry, I didn't even get back to her. And then the other one was from the library. So, so I read more of my books. Not a lot, but, how many are still in my currently reading or books that I started and didn't finish? Again, my audiobook, the one that passed over, was North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I did not get to complete it within the month. I took time off away from an audiobook for quite a few of that month. Sometimes I just go into phases where I don't want to listen to audiobooks in the car. So I still have that. It's still currently reading. I'm hoping to finish my reread of that in December because, nonfiction November. Anyway, so number 8 is how many books did I buy this month? Okay, again, I put this number in here. This is to shock me, and it does, every month when I put down how many books I bought. And I did buy a lot of books in October. I went to 3 or 4 library sales. 3, 4. I went to 4. And then I bought stuff online too. So yeah, I did not do very well. That number is 64. I brought in 64 books last month. I read 6. Of those 64 books I brought in, 3 I had already read. So technically, I just added 61 books to my TBR. Okay, yeah, there is definitely a video coming up really soon about me talking about my book buying again, because I have thoughts and words that I need to express, because, yeah, I went a little crazy. Anyway, I spent probably still more than I should have. I still spent quite a bit of money, but I got a lot of books for that money because a lot of them were library books. From the library book sale, so anyway. I do this to myself? Anyway, so number of pages read for the month, I read 2,280 pages. So that came out to an average of 73.5 pages a day. So again, my minimum goal is I want to be over 50 pages a day on average for the month. So the fact that I hit 73.5, that's pretty good. You know, I like to get closer to the 100 page mark. It's just not going to happen all the time, especially when I don't listen to audiobooks in the car. And because that helps with the page count. But the point is mostly, I just don't, I mean, I said that the reason I have 50 as my lower limit is because I feel like to make progress in books, I want to make at least 50 pages a day. So 73.5 is not bad. So then my star ratings, I had, this is good star rating month. I had 3 5-star reads. I had 4 2-star reads, and I had 1 3-star read. So, and again, this does not count the DNFs. So I think reading wise, I did pretty well with what I finished. So the genres I read during October, I read 1 paranormal romance. I read 3 Victorian classics because it was Victober. I read 1. I wrote down as Juvenilia, or I don't know what the time frame is. It's like between Regency and Victorian. I think it's kind of in the middle there, but I don't know. I'll have to check the actual, what you call that time period, like the 1830s. But I put the Juvenilia because that was the Charlotte Bronte book that I read. It was when she was 17. So anyway, and then the last one I did one nonfiction book. So overall, I mean, again, it was a really good month. You know, as I said, my ratings were really high because I read some really awesome books, and then I did DNF a few. So, but the ones I'm going to talk about are my favorite books of the month. Usually I just pick one, but I'm going to pick 2 because one of them was my favorite and then one was a surprise. So my favorite book of the month was Bleak House by Charles Dickens. And I am so glad I returned to this and I reread the beginning. I had read 130 pages doing the read along with Katie at Books and Things back in March, April, and May of 2018, and then I put the book down and I never came back to it. I didn't even pick it up for that Victober. I don't remember what my rationale for that was. But this year I was like, I'm going to finish this. And so I reread the whole, I started over and reread the first 130 and then continued on. And this did take me 12 days. So it took up a lot of the month. But, I mean, again, it was 880 pages. So it was a good chunk of the month, a good part of my page count that I read. But I really, really enjoyed this. This really did make me want to pick up more Charles Dickens, which again, now I've collected more. And I do want to read another one fairly soon. But this was just a great book. I am so glad I took the time and invested the time to read this. Serial reading is not for me, and I learned that, and I knew that, but, or like I kind of figured I wouldn't like it, and now I know that. So, but reading this straight through, I really, really enjoyed it, and as I said, I gave it, I mean, under 2 weeks, and I got it done. And again, I wasn't reading super high numbers. It's just, I chug to get it done. And again, so I really, really enjoyed that. And I'm glad I finished that. As I said, I want to pick up another Charles Dickens pretty soon because I do now want to read more of his books. So I've only finished that one in A Tale of Two Cities and A Christmas Carol and a few of the other Christmas short stories. So, but I'm going to read some more novels, so that'll be fun. And then my surprise was Silas Marner by George Eliot. This is my first George Eliot book, and I picked this one up because this is the one that had been on my shelf the longest. I've had this since college. I picked it up after reading, I think we read like a section of The Mill on the Floss in one of my introduction English classes, and somebody said that this one that they liked this one better. So I found a really cheap copy at the bookstore, one of the bookstores in town, and I had it on my shelf. I've carried it around for decades. So I finally decided to read it because I did want to try George Eliot. And I really, really enjoyed this, and I'm glad I read it. It was one of those things where I didn't know if I was going to like it or not. And again, a lot of people are hit and miss on George Eliot, so I wasn't sure how I'd get along with her writing. I'm not going to say it's my favorite kind of writing, but I enjoyed this story so much that I'm going to actually try to attempt one of her other novels next year. Hopefully, I have Adam Bede and Middlemarch, but I might pick up Adam Bede just because so many people raved about it in October. And I did not do that read along listening to that because I had never read a George Eliot and I didn't want to jump into the really big book because I was already reading Bleak House. So, but this was great. I really enjoyed Silas Marner, and it was a quick read and, quick, and I really, it was a total surprise for me. So I just wanted to point that out. And then I just want to put down what my least favorite book, or the book that was one of my DNFs that I did not finish. And that was Dragonwyck by Anna Seton. I just hated this book. And I know people who like it, and I hated it. And I hated the writing style, and I hated the jumping heads. You're jumping from one perspective to another within the same not by the paragraph, but at least the same chapter. It drove me nuts. And I found, and again, it also has something about that I didn't like the characters, so a lot of times I lose interest if I can't even like any of the characters. Like, they just drive me crazy, or I just don't like what they're thinking or doing. And then I just get tired and bored, and I stop. So I only got 66 pages into this. I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't finish it, but I don't care. I'm not finishing this book. Anyway, so that was my biggest disappointment of the month of October. So then just really quick, I'm going to show my reading log. So you can see that, oh, this is when I was really, really sick. So I didn't, just so you know, I didn't read so much, but I have quite a few really big days I had. Like, this is when I was trying to finish Bleak House, so that was why these are long here. And then again, I got sick right after that, and then I didn't read anything at all. So, but I kind of came out a little end in the strong in the end to finish out Silas Marner. So, but overall, it was not my best reading month. Like, and then just to kind of show my little, you can tell it's not one of my best reading months. It's because it's so much yellow, which is the 50 to 100 page ones, or under 50 is the orange. Yeah, under the orange, 50, 25 to 50. And then again, there's red means I didn't read anything at all. So, it was not, there's not as many greens or blues or purples because I didn't have too many big days. There's only a couple in here where those last days where I was reading Bleak House to finish that out. So it was, again, I still made my goal of over 50 pages a day, but it just wasn't as strong a reading month as I've had in the past. But that's fine. I still did pretty well. And again, I said, Victober was a great success for me because of reading Silas Marner and Bleak House. Those two I'm so glad I read those. And I didn't mention one of my favorite books, even though technically it was great. I read Archangel's War by Nalini Singh, but I think everybody knows how much I love her books. So that is why I didn't take that book down off my shelf, but that was a highlight as well. So anyway, that is it. Do you guys keep stats? I love these kind of videos. If there's anything you think I need to add to it, let me know, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.